Edward, and Moshe Goldstein discuss Moshe's new book, Starter Mindset.
Moshe, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well, David. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, shaping the minds of the youth of today, so they can be the leaders of tomorrow.
I'm just happy to be here to share with you my story.
I know that was an unfair setup, wasn't it? All right, so you are a very, very, very interesting person. I will let you explain some of your background, but you're a high school teacher. You teach biology. You're also you work with college students. You're working towards your degree. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, excellent. And you've written a book, but it's an interesting book because it's not just your opinion on how to be an entrepreneur or how to, kind of run a startup, but you actually went and found 14 very successful people that we might know some of, or at least they're easy to find, and you interviewed them for your book. Is that right?
Yes.
Walk me through that process, and what is the book? The book is called The Starter Mindset. That's Starter Mindset without the. But yeah, walk us through what is this wonderful book?
So the book I wrote is called Starter Mindset, and I have a copy of it right here in my hands.
Beautiful.
Actually, Starter Mindset is I chose to keep as one word. So if you look at the spine of it, it's actually one word. And the reason why I did that is because to me, success is about continuous persistence. And so having a starter mindset is not just taking the action, but continuing through kind of like a continuous function. And I'll speak a little bit more about this cover later on and how I chose this cover with my cover designer. But basically, starter mindset is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a book to help people get started doing something that they're really passionate about, whether it's a hobby, a business, just that idea that's in all of us, just to put it out there to take that step so that you can smash your goals, that you can do it, and that other people could benefit from those ideas, which is what it's all about producing with those ideas. And in the book I have interviewed 14 people from all industries, whether it's fashion, tech, medicine, cancer research, TikTok, literally any industry. I've interviewed someone who's pretty well known, who's won awards, has done amazing things in that industry, who give over their insights and their how to. And what's really amazing about these people and how successful they've been, whether it's having millions of YouTube subscribers or doing again cancer research, all of them are under the age of 25. The
Okay.
youngest person in my book is actually 16 years old. And she's a technology CEO. She did it while in high school. And with that idea that they can do it and how they do it, this book can help anyone to follow that lead to do it. So that's what starter mindset is right here.
So how do you go about organizing yourself for those interviews and for the process of collecting and organizing? Because I mean, you got to interview them and you got to ask the right questions, but then you've got to put the story together in an engaging way on the other side of that. How do you do that? How do you get ready to do that?
First of all, I had a great team with me who helped to get me with those questions. So what I would do is I would find the right people I think would match this book, and I would ask them. I actually asked them all the same 10 to 15 questions, like what got you started on this path? What personality trait do you attribute your success to? What's something you learn now that you didn't know before? Even something like what are personality traits you look for someone that you like to hire? And I ask all these people the same 10 to 15 questions, and I was getting all different answers. And I would write down those interviews as in a note. So I was really getting their story. Then what I would do is I would write the first draft of the script. I mapped those stories. There's actually 7 story structures that are very common. For example, a rags to riches, a comedy, some sort of triumph. And I would map those stories to those interviews to the best story I saw fit. For example, one of the interviewers I interviewed who does cancer research had tremendous tragedy in her life, which inspired her and was kind of like her why does the research he does. So I mapped it to that kind of story. And some of them was like a TikTok star, and he liked comedy, so I kind of mapped it to that. From then on, I would build up the stories with a developmental editor and try to shape the stories and to draw as much insight and inspiration and also guiding steps so people can take further from those stories.
Wow. That's how long did it take you to do the whole process?
So the first process of interviewing took me about 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
To get all the interviews written down and shaped into kind of rough stories took me about 9 months. That was when the first draft was quote unquote complete. And then I was about just adding more ingredients, just baking that cake, the book as much as I can, and just rounding and shaping it so that people can use it as a guide.
Yeah,
And that's
I admire that a lot, actually, because writing a book, I mean, like, I only depend on myself when I write a book. I don't have to coordinate 14 other people who are successful, who probably are busy. I mean, and just doing all that, and then crafting it into the stories. That's such a unique way of doing it. Was there any common theme that you picked up on across all these people?
Well, one common thing was that they were all out there to do some common good. They all wanted to
Okay.
create a positive change. But a real common theme was that they didn't wait to start something that they wanted to do. A lot of them were starting as early as middle school, and they were learning and building those skills, and they were compounding the knowledge that they were learning over time, and then they were able to get those breakout hits. One of my interviewees, his name is Logan Guloff. For those who know him, he was a Master Chef Junior winner on the Gordon Ramsay show. He's a youngest person to win the James Beard Award for a sustainable mushroom competition. He started cooking when he was 2 years old. His passion for cooking, making spaghetti in his house, he loved it so much. He would do it so much. He became so good at it. And so now when you see him and he's 20 years old and he's inspiring people with charity events and doing all this work, it's like, wow, you kind of see where these people come from.
Yeah. Now, so did you? Well, I guess when I'm thinking of those are all the successful people. It'd be interesting to also talk to people, because those are people that were able to finish what they started, right? So he wanted to learn how to cook, or when he was 2, and then he became a cook. So they started the journey, but they also finished the journey, which is a pretty powerful personality trait, right? Because we all start stuff, all of us do. I do, you do. We don't finish, but being that young and being able to finish something, an idea you have like that is I think kind of amazing. I think it's great. How did you find them? What was your criteria for picking these 14 people?
My criteria was I wanted to find people who everyone would agree are successful, so they've won awards. I wanted it to be accessible, so people can find their stories online and can follow them and can learn from them and from the other amazing things that they are doing. Like so a lot of them have won Forbes 30 under 30 awards or other kinds of really impressive achievements. And I wanted to diversify as much as I can the individuals and the characters in the book, so that if anyone is picking up the book and they're interested in literally anything, they could find someone in there to put themselves in. Like, that is me. That is who I want to be. That is the passion. That is the path I wish someone could have told me is possible. And now I know I could do it. And this is how they do it. These are the adversities they faced. I probably have similar adversities. And so my odds of success, my odds of finishing is pretty good.
Yeah. So what did you learn in this process?
Well, what I learned is that there's so many amazing young people today that people are still kind of up and coming, but are so knowledgeable, and so they really want to help people, and they really want to just create such positive change so that everyone could benefit. It really highlighted to me how good the world is, like what state it is, and I was pretty inspired by that.
Interesting. Did you notice any common traits? Which I keep going back to this, but I'm trying to figure out, what is it about them? Because obviously there's a component of luck to all of this, but it's not just luck. My grandfather used to say, and it's a common saying, the harder I work, the luckier I got, right? And I found that with my limited success. But I mean, did you find that they just were tenacious workers, or were they lucky, or what was it that drove them, to be successful?
Well, I'll share with you all of the above. So there
Yeah.
wasn't like a one thing. So it's kind of like it depends on the person's personality or what they do. Some of them did have luck, and I have a story of someone who got lucky in the book, which the luck kind of fits into their story. But some of them suffer from, like you said, they work really, really hard and they craft that one thing. And a lot of them are workaholics. A lot of them spend a lot of time doing what they're doing and to develop the skills and the ability to be able to deliver. So it is I would say the one of the biggest things is hard work, is definitely. But then there's other things that have carried out to their successes. For example, family. Having a strong family or friends around you who can help guide you and to push you forward, to motivate you, is also a common theme. Another theme is what is your why? Why are you doing this? You have to have a passion. You have to have a real reason for what you're doing. And it's all of those things that really combine that help to push you forward. And the momentum, whether it's getting feedback, for example, if you have a YouTube channel and you're getting feedback from people saying, I love your show, it changed my life, you helped me learn something, you helped me obtain a skill set. That's also something that helps people to want to do more of what they're doing. So
Yeah.
it really depends on really a lot of things. But luck, as you said, is actually very important. And there have been a lot of lucky cases in the book. Timing, for example, is a real thing that we can't really change.
And they must love doing whatever they do too, right? You mentioned they have a passion for it, but they get some personal fulfillment out of it, but they just like it. It's what they want to be. It's who they want to be.
Yeah, I mean, I have a story in my book of Lily Havesh, who's a famous YouTuber, who's a domino artist, was recognized Forbes 30 under 30. She's over 1 billion views on YouTube. She actually
Yeah.
went to school at some point and for engineering, and then she said, "No, I love dominoes. This is what I want to do. This is my passion. This is where I could take my career." She actually went back to dominoes, dropped out of her school, and I mean, what she does is incredible. So, like, yeah, you have to love what you do, and everyone does.
Interesting. So do you stay in contact with these folks?
I do.
Yeah. Now I bet after some number of interviews, you started to feel pressure. Like a lot of times, when we're just writing for ourselves, we have writer's block. But at some point, you're like, I can't have writer's block. I got to finish this thing. I ran all these people through all this interviews, and they're waiting for it. Did that happen?
So it did. It was more of a writer's block with I'm studying in college, and I'm also a biology teacher. So I was definitely getting a little bit of burnout more than writer's block. But like you said, I needed to finish this because I had the stories. I put in all the work. I had it ready to go. I just needed to finish it. And finishing for me is definitely the hardest challenge to get it to that finish line. It's like you're always so close, so close, so close, and then you finally nail it. You finally get over.
Yeah.
So I mean, writer's block was something. Also, another thing that I struggled with was imposter syndrome. I'm studying.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Imposter syndrome is when you start to feel like you're taking on something a little too big for yourself. So you start to feel like an imposter.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm interviewing all these really successful people, and I feel like I'm having this good book, but I'm like, this is beyond me. This is beyond something I've ever done before. Can I actually do this? Am I even the right person for it? But I felt like I had the story, I had the interviews, and I just need to have it finished so that people could benefit from it.
Yeah, you did a lot of work, and imposter syndrome. I've always heard it as fake it till you make it. So it's kind of the same thing. But no, good for you. And I really like your approach of not just taking the interview and then kind of repeating it back, but crafting it into one of the archetypical story, whatever patterns, whatever you want to call it, because that is a way to tell it that resonates with us, the reader. So I think it's brilliant. Honestly, I think it's just brilliant. So the book's been out since the very, very end of May, right? The last day of May, May 31st. Has anything surprised you about actually having the book out? Because you're climbing into that successful stratosphere with some of the people that you interviewed.
What surprises me is how well it's received. People they love it. First of all, people have really liked the cover, and so that's always been really nice for me to hear that the cover it really gives off like an energy that people like. They're like, wow, that captures my attention. And it's also the stories that people will read part of the book and they'll say that really resonated with me, and it's always something different. It's always something like different that I wasn't expecting, and I was like, wow, I'm just so happy I was able to provide that insight, that information that can help guide you or change something that or help you do something.
Yeah, no, Moshe, I think you really took on an interesting topic here, and I think you really nailed it. I mean, I really like the fact that you got other voices involved. I mean, that's what I'm doing with these little podcasts, which is I could make a podcast of me telling people how to write books because I've written a bunch, but that doesn't really help. You really want to hear lots of different voices, and then you want to find your own path to success by looking at what other people have done. And you've done the same thing with this book. So congratulations, I guess, would be in order.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. No, yeah. So what advice would you have for someone who let's not say they have imposter syndrome, but maybe they think they do, right? Or they start to worry about that. What advice would you have them to help them push through that and get to the other side?
So my advice is to take your time, be patient with it. It's not a marathon, it's not a race. It could take you 5 months, it could take you 5 years, but when you start and you're consistent and you write, you will finish it. You just have to stick with it. Set some time down to write once a week, maybe for a half an hour, maybe for an hour. Get it and just continue to add words to the paper. It's not about perfection. It's about putting words on the paper. You will fix and polish the manuscript later, so you have to kind of worry about that later. So that's one way and that's a great way of doing it. And a reason why you should do it is because writing a book is not just a personal milestone. You really learn a lot about yourself. It's a personal growth journey. Every time you write, you're learning more about yourself. What are you interested in? And also you're learning from everybody else who you're researching. So you gain a lot of information. And like the person I am before I wrote the book versus the person I am after the book, I'm a different person. I kind of changed a little bit the way I see things. So it is a life-changing thing. And that's another reason why I think it's a great way to write a book. Another way to write the book is to do it with community, with a cohort, with accountability partners, with editors. They're going to push you. They're going to drive you. They're going to be like your
Coach.
like your coach, and they're gonna make sure you finish it. They're gonna say you have all those words in the paper. You're gonna get this done, and I'm gonna drag you across the finish line if I have to. So, yeah, those are some tips I have for people who because everyone has that book they have in their mind, and anyone can do it. So.
Well, I think that's brilliant. And I think you're right. You said something I haven't been able to articulate, but when you write, you learn a lot about yourself. And it's usually positive, at least for me, it's mostly positive. But if not, you discover what you're good at and what you're not good at, and you develop your own internal dialogue and how to manage yourself and your time, all the things that I think that's very well said. I think you're right. You said you're a different person, between the guy who hadn't yet written the book and the one who finished this. And I think that's right. I think that's part of the journey. So that's fantastic. Well, I appreciate talking to you very much, and I hope this book does really well. How's it being received so far? You said mostly positive reviews. Is it selling pretty good? I haven't looked. It's selling pretty good. Good for you. Yeah. Okay. And you're in the education, philosophy, and social aspects. You're in the top 100 still after 2.5 months. That's good. That's success.
Yep. One step at a time.
One step at a time. So you got another book in you?
I do. Possibly in the future, I'd like to maybe do a sequel, see what else I can add to help people, and definitely, I have many books in me, and I would like to share more with people.
Yeah, I would. What I would be interested in is if you could follow these 14 folks through their careers, and just see what happens to them. Because being young and brilliant and successful is great, but how does that? What do their lives look like afterwards, and how much more success do they have, or whatever else? I think that'd be a wildly interesting series that I know I would want to read. So that's exciting. All right, Moshe, I appreciate it very much, sir. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much, David, for having me on your show, and thank you for the audience for giving me the opportunity to tell you about my book, Starter Mindset, which is on Amazon. So check it out. Starter Mindset. It's one word. So definitely check it out. Go to my website, startermindset.com. And if you have any messages, feel free to reach out. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put all those links below this. So thank you very much, sir. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. Please consider hitting the subscribe button.